What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bricks and Bytes, live from SpeckleCon 2025. We're here in London, and today we're going to be discussing all things data, and of course SpeckleCon. Martin?
Yes, so we have a bunch of interesting guests from Suffolk Construction, Pomerleau, Multiconsult, ATN, Architect Network. We will also have Martin Day later on, and of course
Dimitri and Virginia. Woo!
Yes.
Okay, just bear in mind we are live. We've already had a little bit of a technical glitch, so we're actually not on LinkedIn. We are on YouTube, so follow us there. Okay, first up we got Murat and David from Suffolk. Welcome, guys. Thank you for coming.
Hi, guys.
How's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Good. All right. So, Murat,
Yes.
David. Okay, why don't we just open this up? You guys tell us where you work and what your roles are.
Great. First of all, thanks for inviting us. My name is Murat Melek. I am the Director of Design AI with Suffolk Construction.
And I'm David Morgan. I'm a BIM data engineer at Suffolk Construction.
So what are your roles? What do you actually do within Suffolk with the data and AI?
Well, great question.
We have 20 minutes.
Yeah. We are a construction firm, and you can think that we receive designs from different companies, Gensler's, Perkins & Wells out there, different consultants, and our aim is being able to get those designs, whatever form they are in, and feed it into our pipeline, process it, do the QA/QC requirements, and maybe in some cases complete it.
And are you also considering it from like design through to construction? Because obviously you're delivering construction as well. So design goes through to like estimation and then planning and then delivery. Like, is that like how you are using Speckle and the other tools that work within that ecosystem?
Yes, I mean David can talk more about the Speckle part, but I mean we have a mature data pipeline which we started building way before we joined Suffolk. The construction site, RFIs, change orders, we have a good pipeline. Where we are really utilizing Speckle is the building information model. If in order for, like you pointed out, in order for you to get a good estimate or follow change orders, you need to bring all this data together. So Speckle is key for getting that building information data, which is messy, which is complicated, which is dirty, and get it into our data lake in a way we can use.
Yeah.
So David, maybe you elaborate a bit about Speckle, how exactly you're using it.
Yeah. So I was kind of really excited when I joined Suffolk because I wasn't really aware of how construction was using this digital technology, and this was one of the first places or only places I saw that they were looking for someone that had Speckle experience. So, and I was like, oh, this is great. But
was that the job, like on the
that was on the job
Oh,
description.
cool.
Yeah, I was really happy. I was like, I fit this really well. Yeah, so for what I'm doing at Suffolk is that I'm focusing on how this BIM data highway comes together. Like, we have all this stuff in pre-construction, and then we are piping some of that data in directly to our data lake, but it's almost completely disconnected from how the model works. So for us, what we're trying to do is figure out how we can source directly from that model and give us more rich and consistent data. And so from there, what we're trying to make sense of is, okay, if we're pushing directly from, we have our modeling tools in ACC, and we're doing all this authoring there, and then how do we actually go through the process of extracting and cleaning that data when we pull it right into Speckle, and then making it accessible to our upstream for construction. So yeah, it's been right now we're just figuring out how all this comes together. We've been piloting a lot of the early stages of how this pipeline works, and right now it's really nice to see how much infrastructure is already in place and how they work, and there's a nice tiered data lake system that helps us kind of process up to like a clean business business logic within all the data. So
How like in a layman's terms does data that is produced in like a BIM model get into like an estimating system or similar? And like, is the data like usable and readable between the two systems, or does it like get handed off at some point where it's actually totally different department
mean, I think realistically, like right now, it's a lot of copy paste. Like that's realistically, like we'll get some model information together, or just how it's run is that we'll take the information and figure out what software we're using to do estimations and place it in there. But for us, we're trying to like all of that information comes directly from the model. So the problem that we've always faced is that we can't access that information with like a clean and meaningful way. So for us, that's like we need to find that information, pull it out, and then place it like programmatically into the place it needs to go. So
And Speckle helps with doing this?
100%.
Yeah, and you can think it like, for example, the room we are in. We want to price this room. There are certain codes that you use to price, let's say, that wall and that wall assembly. But that data might be coming from architect B, architect C. So
Different software.
Different software, different descriptions, different materials used. So we pretty much using Speckle Automate for this instance, getting the data in, and the AI algorithms pretty much deciding, hey, based on what I see here, the closest matching code is this, so that we can programmatically move the data to estimation, like you are pointing out.
What about existing old projects that were done 10 years ago, still in the BIM, and can you still utilize this data somehow right now?
We are, it's one of our, in our pipelines, we are doing that. That being said, how valuable that data is going to be is up to debate, because building codes change, and there's this thing called curse of dimensionality, right? If you think about design, it's a multi-dimensional problem. So as the dimensions increase, the number of data points you need increase exponentially as well. So you might say, oh, okay, I have 500 projects. I'm going to build the next foundational model. It's not so easy.
That's a hell of a lot of data. Yeah, I find it fascinating, like the use case from a construction company's perspective. I guess it's like not obvious that people, like contractors, would be using something like Speckle to like ingest the information that comes to them, and then they're somehow able to utilize that. It's not really a question; it's just a point.
It's actually, well, one thing to note just on that is like one thing we've kind of found is that when you look at everything, all the screens at Suffolk, right? There's not a lot of people that use Revit there, but like we use all this data we're using comes from like a BIM model of some sort, and Revit's not BIM, but like it's realistically it's the tool that's helping everyone edit and author it. So really, like, it's interesting to see not a lot of like design tooling happening at Suffolk, but it's all dependent on this type of design data. So that's kind of the big value add for us, is that we have a small team that's utilizing Speckle to distribute all this data and actually get BIM data into the hands of people that are necessarily working with it. So
Speaking of data transformation, what lessons have you learned while being in the process of transforming the data?
First of all, off-the-shelf LLMs don't necessarily work well for AEC use cases. So
They don't work, or they don't work
they
yet?
not necessarily work too well. So you need to keep experimenting, testing, and try to generate as much as synthetic and real data to further fine-tune those models.
Yeah, because you can't. The data generated from large language models is like kind of useless, right?
To some extent, we use them to generate synthetic data successfully, but you are right. You can't use them for most use cases. You can't use them just off the shelf.
Maybe you can tell us like what are the challenges when trying to extract more data, more valuable data from the models that you have.
Let's take an example. I mean, there are so many use cases, but let's take an interesting example. We, incidents occur, right? Change orders happen, RFIs. A very, very compelling use case is how can you tie these problems on the field to the actual geometry that's where past projects really come to shine. The question you ask to yourself is, if a certain, let's say, a wall element with a certain finishing detail is always creating problems over and over again, how can you grab the data out of your BIM data sets and convert it in a format that AI can make sense out of it, see those patterns.
So it's like risk reduction,
Yeah.
potentially design, like noticing design faults before they're a problem on site, and then
Yes.
obviously that results in cost because of delays and so on.
Exactly.
That's super interesting. Okay, maybe a few more questions.
I'll be in the keynote panel. For me, I think the system is broken. The system is broken. No one is happy. We need a new way of doing things, and I think Speckle will be there as one of the key tools making change.
Yeah, it's nice. I've someone that's been like have a couple of years under my belt working with Speckle. Like, it's my first time in person meeting a lot of people, so it's fun to break past the Zoom boundaries, and seeing people in real life. But it's nice. It's great to see a consistent amount of like errors or problems that people are all sharing across the board. Just within the first few presentations, you can see where people are having, like the biggest friction point of loading and working with 3D data. And realistically, if we want to work with BIM data, like all the tools that designers have right now are very limited and like require someone with a special focus and special skill set to be able to access it. And so I think it's kind of refreshing to hear everyone kind of having the same problem, and how they leverage Speckle in a way is like that informational backbone. And I think that's kind of the big like value add here, is that realistically, like a lot of people have custom needs that they want to build on top of when it comes to like thinking about their workflows in AEC. But like the big pain point is like, how are you going to stand up this ability to convert and process 3D data or like do all this fancy computation, when most of the time design firms or construction firms don't have that in the budget to stand up that type of technology and maintain it. So for us, working with Speckle is like a really key value add for us to be able to build and achieve our goals faster, and more efficient.
Any more?
What would you say to other general contractors? What would you say to other general contractors?
Oof, I don't know. That's
Use it.
yeah, use. I would say use it, or I mean, I think I would definitely say I would make use of your data. Like, I think that's the important detail, because it would be challenging to bring Speckle on if we didn't have a data engineering team that was on the hunt for that type of data. So I think like there's definitely still a growing like understanding of how data works within AEC, but I think realistically, like the more people will keep gravitating towards it.
Yeah, data is the key.
Data is the key.
Nice. Okay, all right, David. Thank you so much. Yeah?
Thank you
very
guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Merle.
Should have done it self. Yeah, for context, Suffolk is a general contractor, roughly $8 billion US revenue. Number of staff, I don't know exactly.
Then you get 6,000.
Well, I don't know. Business Wire here says 2,800, roughly 3,000 employees. So
Okay.
very big. Okay, next up we have got Araham from. Hey Aram, you're gonna have to help us pronounce Pomerlo.
Pomerlo.
Pomerlo. Okay.
Pomerlo Construction.
How's
Hi,
it
nice to
going?
meet you.
Yeah,
Aram
good.
Martinez.
Very nice to meet you. Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, Aram. So, thanks for coming here on Bricks and Bytes. We're live. So,
Thanks for inviting me.
tell us like a little bit about Pomerlo
Construction.
Pomerlo Construction. You also just done a talk, right? So it'd be good to hear
Yeah,
what
sure.
you went through there. Yeah, introduce yourself.
Perfect. So I am Aram Martinez. I'm BDC Senior Coordinator at Pomerlo Construction. Pomerlo is a Canadian leader in the construction industry with more than 60 years of experience working on large construction projects on different sectors, across different sectors, from residential, commercial, institutional, and other sectors. We have more than 200 active projects across Canada, and we have around 5,000 employees with a revenue of 6 billion Canadian dollar per year.
Yeah, significant.
So a very very large contractor, 6 years of experience. So I guess lots of data. So have you figured out your data in the organization?
Exactly. Yeah, we have a clear vision on integrated systems, on establishing the data layer and the data architecture as a foundation layer, and then we are structuring it to optimize our BDC workflows.
Oh, so like your current process right now is really about like the arranging the data layer.
Exactly.
Are you currently like a step further where you're considering AI? Maybe you're using AI, or maybe you're in the kind of SpeckleCon where it's much more that infrastructure layer. Like where does Pomerleau, I will get this at the end,
No
kind of
worries.
fit within like AI versus like getting ready versus not ready?
Yeah, well, the first priority for us is to get good data, right? Data preprocessing, data cleaning, integrated systems rather than siloed systems.
So the information which is on the BIM models in Revit, this is not clean enough for you then to use it further?
We monitor that cleaning because we have our specialty subcontractors, and we manage and coordinate them, okay, in a regular time basis. So if the information and the general data of the specific elements is not the good quality, then we monitor and we track them and tell them and inform them about the quality to improve it. Once that we run that process, then we optimize our workflows from transforming from manual workflows to automated workflows.
Very cool. And how does Speckle fit into your workflow currently?
Yeah, as I just mentioned in the SpeckleCon conference, right now we are seeing Speckle as the one-stop shop, like the common data environment, like for data hub of our workflow. So it's a central environment that helps us to better run our information flows.
In what ways? Like what are the benefits of using it in your case?
Yeah, so for example, for our processes that we need on BIM BDC operations on our departments, I belong together with my colleagues Oscar Manarella and Yacid Ben Said. So we belong to the Innovation and Operations Department, and within that department, so Speckle help us to better optimize our data flows.
And like what's the kind of like benefit of doing something like that?
Okay.
The outcome.
Does it
Time
transform into dollars, or does it transform into
Exactly.
times?
So first, time gains. We presented a workflow on automated tracking of specialty equipment, specialized equipment for one of our major construction projects that is healthcare hospital. We track more than 59,000 specialty equipment distributed across 6.7 thousand rooms and several building levels and sectors. So that's the level of scale. It's not only about the building, it's about the object level, tracking the parameters and the information that is required for delivery, for maintenance and operation management of our clients.
And do you design projects also within the organization, or the projects are outsourced, designed somewhere else? And
Can be both. So we provide end-to-end services from the entire project life cycle, since planning, design, investment, financing, construction management, maintenance, operation, and the construction.
okay. Speaking of AI, maybe a little bit, how are you utilizing language
Right
models?
now we are developing our internal. We have dedicated team on software engineering and development, and we are building some purpose-built applications based on AI power. The end goal is streamline decision making, for example, for approvals, coordination, sign-offs, etc. But right now we are creating a chatbot powered by AI, so that we can query the information and we can deliver also reliable information to our clients.
So this is like an external facing tool, that people are using. And what kind of queries would they be putting into this?
Yeah, so the type of queries for now is, for example, how many categories and what type of categories within your model do you have? And this chatbot can also function even if the file format is Revit, IFC, etc.
Oh, very cool.
right now we deploy our own Speckle server instance, okay? And we face a few challenges in terms of keeping up to date because we absorb the infrastructure cost. We require regular maintenance, development, even when we have the know-how internally. But for these updates and integrations, we use a lot as well ACC environment for several of our projects. Having this data integration would be really important. That's why we are also considering the newly Canadian hosted Speckle server, cloud server, running into the cloud.
Okay, cool. Any like, can you give us a brief like conclusion overview of the talk that you gave earlier, and what was like the key kind of lessons for the
Perfect.
audience?
Well, we talk about a few use cases from automated tracking of specialized equipment, quantity takeoff, 3D coordination, as-built verification, etc. on those use cases. But I would say that the takeaway is that Speckle is helping us to better manage the information. At Pomerlo, we are ISO 19650 certified. That is a really important certification in general for managing the information of our projects. And Speckle is helping us to enhance that capability.
Okay. Maybe construction is well known in having lots of data silos. Yes, everyone works in their own silos and don't communicate. Do you find this was or is a problem within your organization, and is Speckle contributing to solving this somehow?
Definitely. As I was mentioning, the time savings that we have realized before and after implementing Speckle Power Solutions is that, and also considering our vision of upper management and upper directors, is to integrate those systems rather than relying on data silos. We want to construct a solid foundation on data and integrated system rather than silos.
What about people who work in the organization? How do they find working with new tools, new technology? Because it's always difficult to switch into something new.
Correct. For sure. I won't lie. There is some resistance at the beginning, for certain subcontractors or even some of the teams that they don't know exactly what is Speckle about or any other open source solution. But once that they realize like the value behind it and how can they better managing the information, that helps a lot.
What's your takeaways from SpeckleCon? So you flew. Whereabouts? You're based in
Montreal, Canada.
Montreal. So that is the east or west coast?
No, east.
East. Okay, my geography skills suck.
Yeah.
How long's the flight?
It's 7 hours flight.
And you came when?
The day before yesterday.
Okay, so jet lag wearing off.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you think of London? Did you come here much?
It's a great series. My first time in London, so I'm enjoying the time here with you and everything. Thanks for having me here.
No, of course. What's your key takeaways from SpeckleCon? I mean, we're only halfway through the day.
Yeah, that's true.
The cocktails are not out yet.
Yeah, that's I'm pretty much looking to see what our colleagues in other companies are doing to learn the best practices that they are implementing, and I hope I can and we can, like as a company, contribute to some value as well for them.
Do you think like general contractors should get Speckle on board in general, or like that's kind of additional software that is nice to have, but it's not?
No, definitely. In my opinion, and based on what I have seen and been testing, they should implement these open source solutions, such as Speckle, because it helps to better manage information, and that's all about BIM. BIM is information, so.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any more, Martin?
No, I think we've went through a lot of things. What else should we ask you? And we haven't.
I have one.
Yeah.
Most exciting project you worked on?
Oh, a big healthcare hospital. It's $1 billion project. So.
With B.
Yeah.
$1 billion.
Billion dollar project. So it's very large, complex systems, lots of multidisciplinary teams. Yeah, so that's the most exciting.
Yeah,
project.
Sounds cool. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you, Ram.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank
you very much.
I appreciate this time.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
Ah, interesting. So I still don't think I learned how to pronounce the company.
Pomerlo.
Pomerlo. I will get
Pomerlo.
it. Interesting. Yeah.
Thank you.
So more construction companies, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, on the face of it, you kind of expect the Speckle will be more design focused, but the use cases make sense.
It's not design tool. It utilizes design tools for
The data.
for the data. So okay,
Ooh.
we have
Morten from Multiconsult. Hey, Morten. How are you?
Good.
Good to see you from last night.
Nice to meet you. Hey.
Did you finish up early or late?
Got back around 10, I guess.
Many beers?
Not many.
No.
But
Did
it was
you
a good
drink,
time.
Owen? Did you drink beers? No.
No, I don't really drink. I have sparkling water. It's a good replacement when you're not drinking.
And nuts.
It is.
And nuts.
Nuts, and then like you snack nuts. Yeah?
No, they were bringing like pieces of fillet steak, sirloin steak and
Ooh.
chicken and like what's the deep fried shrimp stuff? Calamari kind of things there.
Yeah, and the skewers were nice.
Question is, where were you?
Well, I was in the meeting till 7:38, so yeah.
Okay, Morten.
Yeah.
Let's get on to this. So, how was you just done a speech right before this, right? So your media duties are like full on today.
Ready for it.
It's kind of on a roll there. Yeah, but that was fun. I mean, first time at SpeckleCon, and been looking forward to this for some months now, and I was really thrilled to be on that stage.
Yeah, nice. What's like? We'll get into like what multi-console is.
Sure.
Maybe tell us like what's your kind of relation to Speckle?
That began in, I think it's like 4 or 5 years ago. So my background is I'm a structural engineer.
Welcome.
Good.
I'll let you guys nerd out. I'll see you in a little while.
So you can just wait outside and
we'll chat.
Okay. Yeah.
Have a
No,
proper
but
chat.
my background is from design of concrete structures. So the group that I work in, we have a strong history in designing shell structures in concrete.
All around the world, I guess.
Yeah, from Canada to Italy and in the Northern Sea.
Through Norway.
Yeah, and we're based in Norway. Yeah, and I mean, in 2020, 2021, we were exploring how to use Python and Git to kind of update our design workflows. So how to make our design workflows more efficient. Then a colleague of mine, he told me, well, why can't you integrate Speckle into this? And well, to be honest, I'd never heard about Speckle before, but it turned out to be kind of the perfect match for our workflows, because with Speckle we could get the data layer for free. Kind of.
What is data layer in this sense?
Good question. Well, we write our design workflows in Python, and when you have the software development kit that Speckle provides, so SpecklePy, you can get access to your Speckle server through Python. So that makes it quite easy to actually produce a data-driven design workflow without having to bother with Azure subscriptions or similar.
You mentioned earlier
Martin,
that.
this is much smarter structural engineer than you.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for 100% for sure. I'm too basic and that. So
This is just buzzwords.
What's the? So you mentioned that you wanted to improve your workflows. Like, what was the issue with the workflows, and how did you, as an engineering business design consultancy, did you think about it? Okay, I think we should improve it. Why? What was the reasons to even think about improving it?
Well, there was kind of nothing really wrong with the workflows, but they were based on kind of orchestrating program runs with these old school bat files. So nothing wrong with bat files, but they're kind of not the format for the future. Kind of, it's been a while, but they're still in use, and I mean, it kind of gives you superpowers. You can write your input files and run your programs and produce results that you can review afterwards. And but they're not. You cannot scale with them, right? It's not the format for the future. So instead of using those, we developed our own task manager in Python, and then suddenly you have access to the whole Python ecosystem of tooling. So like plotting or data exploration or reporting or SpecklePy. So
Or SpecklePy.
the data layer is open to you also.
So you just connect your data into SpecklePy, and you have all the dashboard of all of your. Just give us like what examples? What do you have in the
Yeah, and then
SpecklePy?
like how do you then?
And why is that relevant from engineering consultancy point of view?
So one example could be from our geotechnical division, where you have where one task could be to analyze the installation procedure of monopile foundations for offshore wind turbines.
You got that, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm processing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell by my eyes. Yeah.
So basically,
Not
you
an
have these.
engineer.
Sorry. So basically, you have these giant steel pipes, so like 8 to 10 meters in diameter, perhaps 60 meters long, 40 meters long,
Yeah.
and these are supposed to be penetrated through the seabed offshore. So you head offshore with your boat, a stack of piles, and you need to knock
Big
them
hammer.
through. Yeah, and a big hammer. Yeah, exactly. So the purpose of these analysis that the geotechnical division then do is to analyze how many strokes with the hammer do we need to
Okay.
do. Kind of.
Simple terms. Yeah.
Yeah, in
I'm
simple
glad
terms.
you're democratizing this for me.
No, but the point there is that the input there is perhaps a spreadsheet of the soil layering on the seabed, and perhaps you also have a spreadsheet of your geometry of this giant steel pipe. Okay, all this data you can feed into your data layer. You can put that on your Speckle server, and then you can make your design workflows access this data. So instead of having your Excel sheets as the driver for your workflow, you can have Speckle as the core data layer of the workflow.
I can see it as a like software for engineer 2.0, who is kind of more visual, can see much better what they have done, and then can drive conclusions out of that much simpler, faster. Would that be correct?
I think so, yeah. I think that's a good interpretation.
Morten, can you tell us about the talk you just done upstairs? Like, what was the kind of key lessons for people listening, and conclusions and takeaways?
I think key lesson there is or the story was more or less riffing upon what I just mentioned.
Yeah.
So these kind of improvements that we did to our workflow. And I mean, one key lesson from this is that we're not so much building applications. Like 4 or 5 years ago, or my impression was that if I can build cool applications, then that would be a way forward for maturing our digitality, kind of. But then we realized, well, instead of building applications, I think we should rather focus on providing our engineers with flexible libraries. So that's one key takeaway from the presentation.
So okay, so then this, and what does that enable? It enables engineers to then build their own applications.
Yeah, or instead of applications, then build workflows and explore design alternatives in a more flexible way. So often, at least in my quite narrow experience from doing this, well, often with the applications, you also get technical debt, right? And you get that quite fast. And for kind of reaching the final 5 to 10% while developing such an application, you spend more than half the time that you
That's really
spent
interesting.
in total.
Yeah.
So the last mile is the most difficult.
It is, yeah. That's the point, yeah.
So you're giving your engineers like more flexibility then, telling them like this is an application, use it. Like you're giving them the kind of freedom. Maybe I'm using the wrong terms here, but like freedom to use the data how they want.
Yeah, the data and the features and the functionality, so you can kind of stitch this together, just like kind of like Lego, Lego it together.
Yeah, pretty cool.
From the organization point of view, what are key lessons that you learned during sorting out the data layer within a business, or trying to figure out the best way for the data transparency maybe in the business?
I think over the last years, our company, so Multiconsult, we've been on a data journey, And
We already, previous speakers were saying data highways, data journey. Yeah.
so they built their data highways, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we started exploring our business data as kind of the first scope, and put in simple terms, I think we can see the business data as kind of an easy task. It's about income, cost, headcount per year, profit, and then that's it. So the key to it is perhaps to extract the data from the various sources and then compile it somewhere, and then you can start kind of exploring. You can derive things, you can learn, and then you can build on top of that. And now we, after kind of exploring that part of our data verse, now we're heading over to project data, and this is what's really challenging. So I mean, at the moment, I don't really see how we can do that on a general scale, but perhaps project per project, it's doable.
Why are you
Because-
saying? Sorry, go on.
No worries.
Why would you saying that project data is most challenging?
Because it's just so much, so dense, right? There's like so many moving parts and so
Yeah.
much data.
Yeah, and perhaps it kind of changes so from project to project. So in this project, perhaps you had perhaps it was a residential project, or in that project it was offshore wind, or in that other project you had a giant industry plant that need to be rebuilt to adapt for this new process equipment, for example. And I mean, the components of the data are so different. Perhaps the analysis that you need to do based on the data are so different. They require so different input. But then when we talk about, for example, the carbon footprint or the material takeout, then perhaps the story is a bit simpler. So it's about quantities and kind of volumes and material types, kind of.
So you need to have a lot of repetition, the same task, the same project, to have to drive good conclusions from it. Yeah, that's the only way to do it. Would you be using Speckle in any way to derive this project data somehow?
Yes, and this is one thing that we're currently exploring quite a bit. I mean, colleagues of mine are using Power BI, for example, for constructing dashboards. So dashboards that give the project management superpowers, really make their project managers happy. Now they have another overview.
Is it possible?
Yeah, I think so. With these kinds of dashboards, it's possible. Yeah. And also we see Speckle Intelligence as a game changer. We just briefly started exploring it, but I mean also the analysis data should be explored in Speckle Intelligence at some stage, I think.
Interesting. I noticed, like, I don't want to go there yet. Maybe you've got some more questions on the data piece, but we have kind of intentionally left AI out of this discussion with you. Maybe it's not necessary, and for whatever reason we can ask you in a sec. But what is the complexity and scale? I don't know if it's possible to describe this in words, but of like project data, like how difficult is it? And when do you know you're in a place where okay, we know everything about our project data now, like, or is it a forever ongoing kind of challenge to work out, like, okay, now we have the data, how do we tell what's useful about it? How do we actually use this for a tangible outcome, whatever that might be?
Oh, you mean for one specific project or for a portfolio of projects?
Well, maybe we could start like project, and then how that project would scale across the entire organization, if it can. So it's obviously the organization is made up of projects, so that's kind of like the granular to the more broad.
Well, I think it kind of starts with structure of the data. So of course you need to have reasonable categories of the data so that you can infer, or you can put labels on them so that it's easy to sort them or group them or derive stuff from them. So to begin with, in one project, that is perhaps doable. One outcome that you can have quite early from that process is perhaps to use tools like Speckle for detecting whether your data had the right quality. So, for example, just applying some filter to a 3D viewer if you see outliers there, well, okay,
Yeah.
maybe you didn't do a good enough job on
And
that one.
that means that this data wouldn't be useful for.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So if
Garbage
you got
in.
if you got outliers there, it will be garbage in, and then garbage will
No AI.
eventually not even get out of it.
Yeah.
What do you think companies like Multiconsult should be paying attention to regarding data?
I think we should pay attention to that we own the data, that we have access to the data that we derive. This is the lesson that Speckle is telling us. So own your data. Don't lock it in with some proprietary.
Mhm.
So you're
format.
talking about these end user license agreements by owning the data. We're talking about owning it through the lens of those, or
I'm thinking more in terms of the perhaps the file format and the access to it. So with Speckle, you kind of have this open data format, right? On that you have access to.
it means you can open everything.
You can open it, you can use it later, you can derive stuff from it later, you can see what's in there without having to pay some other vendor for licenses for having access to the
Yeah,
data
makes
that
sense.
you actually own. Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you don't own the data, then you found a good use case, but if you're tied into that person, suddenly they say, oh, if you want access to the data, you need to pay us X, then you have no freedom of choice to be able to like. That's what ultimately better, or tie that to like what the business is trying to achieve in general. Like, what's the outcome of being able to create these tools, and what is the downside of someone locking you in so you can't use it? Hinders everything.
It does.
Why have we not talked about AI?
Well, that's a good question, I guess.
Maybe maybe you should ask us, because we haven't asked you about it till
Yeah,
now.
why aren't we? No, I mean, I guess if you ask me whether I use AI for my job or not, I think the answer would be quite boring, because I'm not really using many AI tools. I'm developing quite a bit of tools, so I'm maintaining an open source library called Structural Codes for structural engineers. None of my code there is AI generated. For the record. Not because I don't like it, but I really like to have control over what I put in there. So I want the users of that library to have the confidence that the code has integrity. I think I've seen many good use cases. For example,
For the designers?
Yeah, for designers, or for colleagues that need to solve one specific problem. For example, you can chat with some chat. You can ask, how can I merge these 10 Excel sheets into one, and then provide me with some
Yeah,
graphs.
this collapses a lot of time.
Yeah.
Into
And that's a
small-
brilliant use case. I mean, you don't need to spend that time developing that function, because someone else battled that for you.
Yeah. When you think about future of designer, architect, or engineer, what do you see? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years from now?
I think I see a bright future. With the tools that we're developing, well, we are developing libraries that let our engineers use coding to solve real problems. I think for my colleagues, I think they find that quite enjoyable and inspiring. I think they feel superpowers, because they can do stuff they didn't imagine they could do before. We spend more time now providing value to our clients than kind of battling with files
How
from
to
here
do
to
this,
there, and figuring out how to merge these Excel files, for example. So I think the everyday engineer life is more fun now than it used to be, and I think the future is bright.
Do you agree, Martin?
Yeah, I agree, for sure.
Just one. Sorry, I've got a question for. I'm going to ask on behalf of Martin.
Okay.
How easy is it for a structural engineer to grasp, like, because what I hear is like lots of like software, data, and obviously structural engineer is one profession, software engineering, and then everything is something quite else. But also, I'm very aware that a lot of structural engineers do kind of dabble with code, so they're a little bit familiar with it. But for like a typical structural engineer, is it difficult for them to pick up like stuff that you've created at Multiconsult, for example, like freedom and access to that data? Do they have to have some knowledge to be able to use it, or is it like very easy to pick up and kind of build your own thing?
Yes and no. I think all our new recruitments that come directly from school now, they know Python, so they have been exploring Python through their education. And I mean, if you many of the workflows that we design, they are designed to be to have a reasonable entry barrier. But I mean, going straight into exploring data on Speckle with SpecklePy, the barrier there is it's quite a barrier. So start slowly, start with the small workflows, start with the small tasks, start with the Jupyter notebook and explore the code there, kind of, and then expand from there.
Nice.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you develop internal tools, and these tools are like design tools or more workflow tools, or blend of both?
Both, I guess. Mainly stitching together different tools for devising some workflow to solve a specific problem. But then mentioning the structural codes library, that's mostly for design. So that library contains functions from design codes, and
Sorry.
oh, nice.
Now I can sit more upright.
Baby.
It's the benefit of being 5'6".
You should have said we would just do this.
Yeah, sure.
Where do we get to?
Now, interrupting about creating software for workflows, so blend of workflow improvement and design task improvement. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have. I suppose we have like one or two more questions, maybe. What's your favorite thing to do in Norway?
In Norway, well, I have 2 kids, so the things that I do most is to hang out with them.
Nice.
We build a lot of Lego. They are into drawing and kind of puzzling with Hama beads, etc.
That's cool.
so
What's your best Lego piece? Like your favorite construction of Lego?
that would be the Lion Knight Castle.
The which one?
The Lion Knight's Castle. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay, I will look into this one.
Yeah, you should.
How many pieces?
I'm not sure. It's a quite big one.
Yeah.
It's not like the Star Wars sets, but it's a quite big one. It's going out of production now, so you better hurry up.
Damn. Yeah.
Have you heard about this Lego for engineers, structural engineers? I can't remember trying to find this now.
Like the brick motion thing, or
like the pieces you put together, like you build a bridge, this kind of stuff.
also like Lego Techniques.
Yeah, no, this one. It was
Oh.
like a separate company creating it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's.
Oh, interesting. We should continue that in perhaps the next episode.
Yeah.
So
a Lego episode.
yeah, it's about bricks and bytes, right? So
Yeah,
It is,
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, good.
Okay. Morten, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My
Very
pleasure.
quick fire. Key takeaway. One key takeaway from SpeckleCon so far.
Data is key.
Soundbite that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. See you around.
See ya. Okay, you got your
Now
saddle,
I have my
saddle?
booster. Thanks, Will.
Now we will have
Yeah.
Martin.
We got Martin. Yeah. We're gonna change the. I guess change the tone a little bit with Martin, won't we? How's it going, Martin?
Hello.
See you guys.
And you?
I think this is the first time I've physically been on it.
Yeah, we've had many discussions, ad hoc discussions, just born from a quick LinkedIn message before, but we've never had you on Bricks and Bytes, which is a real shame.
We've
Hello.
seen you.
Maybe
On,
we've got
we've
you.
seen you on the stage a few times.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah,
We read some of your articles.
that's a bit of a new thing for me being on stage, but yeah.
You're getting used to it.
Yeah, it's always interesting. It's always slow to start with, and then once I get going, it's kind of like I run over my time. So it's I'll have to be a bit more structured, but then I'm just generally not a very structured person.
Oh, that's fine. You just have to hope someone stops you at the right time. It's always good to start with the most difficult questions first, so
right,
so
okay.
then you got no warm up. So, no, I'm just kidding.
What's your most difficult question?
In fact, no.
It wasn't me.
Mine. We've had lots of discussions before, and I think that we start on one topic, then end up like going on something completely different. So with that, I would like to ask you, what's going on in AEC technology world right now?
Yeah.
So the whole kind of transition, or when the idea is that when the open letters came out and all that kind of stuff, and people, Andrew Adognos sort of said that there's not going to be a Revit 2.0, and there's going to be a different thing. There's not going to be they're not going to develop a faster horse. They're going to develop something different, which, as we know, is Forma. It seemed very clear to me at that point that most of the new AEC tools that were coming through were aimed at being a replacement for Revit, and Revit I define as being a monolith because it's something that does conceptual design, detailed design, and then drawings. And obviously within that you've got an ecosystem where you can do plugins and do analysis and stuff. And that's what I was expecting. And then I started seeing AI tools, and then I just started thinking, oh gosh, this is a bit different. And then when you come to places like Speckle and you see that people are actually more interested in the data than they are in the authoring as far as is done, is what can we do with stuff. So if you talked to me about predicting the future 3 years ago, I'd have said it's a Revit, a new Revit capable of using all the latest processors and graphics.
Being just
and
much
stuff.
better than it is. Yeah?
And I just think that isn't necessarily the future. I think,
Why do you think they are not doing it?
well, they're not doing it because the idea of software being on the desktop in Autodesk's mindset has been gone for about 15-20 years. Carl Bass, when they did Autodesk APS, which now you kind of realize why they did it. At the time, it was kind of like, all right, you're taking all of the Autodesk software and you're breaking it down into these cloudlets and then putting them on the cloud so you could build software. At the time, very few people, if any, were using the cloud to design on. It was just like a file sharing system. And now they can develop software rapidly on the cloud. So Tandem is a case in point where you're seeing Autodesk bring to the market, a tool for digital twins for buildings. But they haven't done it for Revit because they have to do it. The whole thing has to be rewritten.
Rebuilt completely.
Because it needs a new data format. It needs to work collaboratively, and so therefore.
And they can't afford it, or they like the status quo?
Well, Forma is it. Forma is that it's taken them a long time to do the data backbone, and then buying SpaceClaim, they got a SpaceMaker, they got a team to do it. I got the feeling at the moment they're kind of backtracking on. They want to kind of keep Revit alive, and so at next build this year, they kind of said that Forma isn't replacing Revit, which just was like, I don't understand what you're on about.
Yeah.
But they are, in my mind, that it is, because they're now doing detailed design in Forma, and you can see that Forma's become a serpent. You're going to have multiple heads, multiple capabilities, but the database is still the same in the background. That was the promise of what the quantum and all that stuff was. So they are actually delivering on that vision, but that vision was in 2016, and here we are almost in 2026.
10 years
this
later.
stuff doesn't happen overnight, and then you've got all the startups trying to come to the market, and so the thing that's, for me, thinking about what I've seen in the last year, is that AI changes the game. And so all these existing software companies like Nemetschek and Autodesk and maybe Bentley, and if they start developing AI and they start delivering real productivity benefits to their customers need to spend less money on software. You can get rid of seats because you're automating tasks, and some tasks can be got rid of completely because it's fully automated. So at that point, that's bad news for somebody who basically makes a living from selling seat licenses.
But the reality is it needs to happen.
Yes,
looking at
but
technology.
at the
and how-
moment they don't want to do it because they don't feel
Yeah.
under threat from anyone else. But there's always the danger that someone could come up from behind and jump in
That's
and
exactly.
just and wallop them. And then the thing that I really think is important about technology in general. Take Elon Musk, whatever. His idea of the robo-taxi, two-seater taxi, brilliant in America, but not anywhere else. The software he's developed will run on all Teslas. So when he's proven this works and it doesn't kill so many people,
Then let's roll it.
then he just flicks a switch, and suddenly around the world, Uber drivers are dead, taxi drivers are dead, because in one instant you flick a switch and suddenly the world changes.
Slowly and suddenly.
Instead of 10 years to develop some software, or if someone develops some software that's a general practitioner, a doctor online, and they flick that switch, because humans are pretty much the same all around the world, everybody, so the cloud plus AI equals major trouble for anyone who thinks they've got a good living, or thinks they might have 10 years to kind of like, oh, I'll be dead before this happens. So if auto drawings, if someone develops an auto drawing tool and it's available online and they flick a switch and it's available to every single architectural practice, I can tell you that every single BIM manager is going to try it out, and if it works for them, they're going to start resigning licenses. And once they start resigning licenses, what does that mean for people like Autodesk, and what does that mean for people like Bentley, and what does that mean people for in Nemetschek? So the stakes are getting bigger, and even though we kind of thought there'd be a Revit replacement, probably Snaptrude is the closest to doing that. Even the guys who are in this BIM, what I'm calling BIM 2.0, have essentially been developing for 3 to 4 years on their products, and the AI danger wasn't even there. And the AI danger is, as we're seeing, every 6 months some crazy stuff is happening. So these guys have spent 4 years to get to where they are now. If a company started today and was doing vibe coding, claw coding, whatever, they could probably get in 1 year where these guys have got in the last 4. So these guys have developed traditional code. They haven't really thought about writing an AI app from the ground up to do something. They've written normal code and then started plugging AI bits onto it. Everybody's got like a chat capable thing. So for me, it's just it's very hard for a software company to try and work out what the future is, because the future keeps changing, because we're having all this rapid technology.
So on this, you mentioned earlier, it's actually reference to what you just said. You mentioned earlier that authoring tools are done, or authoring is done in terms of development and new.
Well, these guys. So
And by
that was in the context of Autodesk, I think. Yeah?
I'm just thinking more of the point of view of like today, Gensler talking, and the kind of the Revit is their weapon of choice. It's done. That's at the moment what they're using. What they're more worried about is the information that's in the BIM model, and that information. So when BIM first came out, BIM was all about producing 2D drawings. It wasn't really about the eye. Eye was in there, but it wasn't really the focus. Now these mature customers are caring about the eye, not necessarily about the modeling or the drawing. So they all hate PDFs, and they'd love to kill the whole drawing. You can have a whole show on that. But at the moment, these guys are trying to extract the eye and share it with project participants without it being owned by a large software company. They want to own their own data, so data lakes and data lake houses and all this stuff's coming to the fore. So when I say it's done, I'm saying that in the current genre, in the current toolbox, they've picked their weapons, but they all do know that maybe something else will come in the future which will make them change that weapon. And Revit is obviously there because it's 25 years old, but Autodesk have some tricks up their sleeve that they're pulling with the new graphics engine. So the new graphics engine was kind of half put in, I think, this time round. Next year it'll be fully in, and they're putting a USD kind of layer between the old database and the customer, and USD is games level technology, so you'll be on your machine with your model flying around with it as if it was a game. It hasn't touched the actual old database which is there in the background. So I'd be interested to see what happens with that, but I expect people to think big things that have happened to Revit in the next release, when in fact it's not really a cheat. It's quite a clever way of accelerating some software that has some age in it.
So in your opinion, it's a bit of a broad question. So if you're one of these companies, like these tech companies that are, like you say, it's difficult to predict the future and know what to focus on, if you were in the helm of one of these companies, what would you do?
I was asked this yesterday. So the problem is if ignore everything that we've said so far. If you were to sit down today and say, I'm going to create a software company to create a design tool, you would then have to first do simple things like, how big is the market? And you can see the market as it is today and go, well, it's 1.5 million licenses of Revit or whatever. But then in 3 to 5 years' time, with auto drawings and with AI, actually, how many of those seats are going to be live? Because if you don't need huge swathes of people sat in front of Revit to create drawings anymore, or if you've got AI doing huge big jumps, then suddenly the number of seats drops. So,
but the market is still as large or even bigger, I think. Or no? No?
Because I reckon 50% of all seats are just 2D drawings.
Yes.
And if you don't need those anymore, that's a big chunk of change. And because of all these software companies have moved to subscription, so those subscriptions could be deleted within 6 months to maybe a year.
No, but demand is still there, yeah? The demand is still there.
The money's still there, but yes, the money's still there, but
for other tools that are...
yes, but it's still I'm developing. Let's say I'm developing a BIM modeler, so I now know that the number of seats that I've possibly got to sell that modeling tool are 50% as big as they were before. So does that mean I have to increase the price that much? And that's a huge question when you're trying to develop software, is knowing how big your market is before you even start developing. And I think that the software vendors that have been looking at Autodesk market share and drooling for the last 10, 15 years are all kind of thinking, right, now's the opportunity to do it. But they're asking themselves the same questions about, is it going to be the same size market? Because now, it'd be great if the monolith went away, so you ended up buying a drafting tool, the auto drafting tool. You had a really good modeler, you had a really good concept modeler. You'd buy 3 things instead of having that one big BIM slab of the monolith. So you would buy more bits of software. But also, at the moment, we went from paying big lump sums for software to join the country club. Then we went to SaaS, where we were paying monthly. Then we kind of had tokens and SaaS. Now they're talking about outcome-based BIM, and Autodesk are talking about that for a reason, because
cost of the project.
Well, it's like if you're introducing AI and it reduces. So let's take Augmenta. Augmenta has software where I've got a what do you call it, a database center.
Electrical design.
And so I'm doing an AI database center, and I give them the Revit file for the database center. Augmenta in 12 hours overnight will wire up the entire building, and that saved you how long? 3 months, 4 months. How much? So Augmenta are trying to say, look, how much would that have cost you to do? And we'll just take 10% of it. So that's the outcome-based design, because they're coming to you and asking you how much labor and how much time, and then that becomes the new norm. So Autodesk realize that the AI is unstoppable. It's going to start impacting the speed of development of projects, architectural projects, engineering projects, MEP projects. All parts of it will be accelerated, and at that point the price per seat, because there'll be fewer of them, kind of doesn't work for them. They need to have some way of not losing their current, Autodesk is a $10 billion company. So how do they not just maintain that but grow, which is every capitalist software shareholder dream? They need to somehow keep going, and they can't reverse back. And so I've had conversations with Nemetschek, and I said, look, you could introduce auto drawings, but it would hurt you. And they went, we would accept that if we could have some of their pie. So suddenly AI is going to get weaponized. They will be fighting amongst themselves.
It's
but
it's a race to the bottom in terms of the pricing.
it's a race to the bottom. But yeah, I'm sorry to say that job-wise in this industry there will be big problems.
Yeah.
That you will have smaller design teams, super empowered with very
Yes.
smart solutions,
Tools.
and you know
It leaves
It
a
worries
void,
me.
but I do think that the void always has to be refilled again. So there'll be new and different skill sets that are required, as opposed to people
I don't
just
think
disappearing.
you have to look at AI. AI is so different to everything we've ever had. So AI is knowledge as a utility. We've never had that before. You just plug it into the wall, and you plug something into the wall, and you've got all the knowledge of the world, all the knowledge of your discipline available to you, and whether depends on how that's delivered.
Yes.
So this is the commoditization
Of
of
the knowledge.
the commoditization of what humans are best at. And I watched an interesting documentary where this guy says, before the Industrial Revolution, we had lots of horses, and then we had the Industrial Revolution, and we killed all the horses. This is the Industrial Revolution where we're the horses. So what happens at the other side? We can't all appear on OnlyFans showing each other our holes. There has to be some other way of making a living.
I think there's
You
a
also
market.
you also can't also replace podcast hosts. So
Well,
I think we're all right.
These are.
I've got this thing called Google Note LLM.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you-
No,
you-
but
Everyone
just-
has, I have to say.
So I think it's brilliant. You just drag it
Yeah.
in, and then you
Does
press
the
a
podcast
button,
for
and
you.
it does a podcast
Three
between
people, how many?
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, but they're a bit lame, you know.
On
There's
the-
no,
on
there's
on
no
this-
character of mine. Probably just a couple more questions and
Yeah.
ask about spec.
On this, on
Answers
the
for
Augmenta
spec.
solution, and like this outcome as a service, like full outcome, like fully done design. Do you think that this is really feasible? Like in the world where you need approvals, and like this, in the UK we have building control.
If
and
it's
all of
not,
that.
if it's not achievable in the first or second generations,
I
it damn
agree.
well will be in the third.
I agree.
It's coming. So at the moment, Augmenta are focusing on the American market. So they've put all the American standards in there. It's such a vast job. I mean, if you've had the guys on
Yeah,
the show,
Francesco, yeah.
So I had it must have been a 2 or 3 hour conversation with
Wow.
them where we went right into the nuts of what they're doing, and it's the amount of information that's being included in that expert system. This is the other thing that is happening is expert systems will also cause problems for jobs because and you kind of saw it today, and you kind of see it with Victor stuff, where the idea is that you employ people and then you sort of capture their knowledge as they go along, with them either coding applications or the AI learning from who did what when, and then that kind of like the consequences of that. The more loads and loads of practices are now training on their own data, and from that they can then start the bigger the number of models they've got there, the more knowledge they're capturing from historical projects, and so that we're slowly but steadily training our replacements in the cloud with knowledge.
It's game over,
And
guys.
if you're saying what I've been thinking about the last summer, it's been really scary because no one I've bumped into has actually given me anything. They've just given me more to worry about. But
We have to cut you off
Sorry.
for a sec. Last point, where does Speckle fit into the ecosystem from your perspective?
Oh, another 20 minutes.
well, that's kind of interesting.
You have minus 5 seconds.
Okay, so Speckle historically has kind of been like a Cody thing for Cody people. This year you get the vibe that it's really a solution for enterprises to do some interesting stuff with. So that's great. And there is a massive move towards data lake and towards customers owning their own data. They don't want their data stored in a server owned by a... That was an interesting drip of water onto your laptop. I think that's somebody crying out from what I've just said.
Yeah,
that's all the
it's the heat of the conversation.
architect's tears are coming down. So I think there's that they are doing some enterprise level interesting things, and they're kind of contributing to this data lake idea. they are a kind of a CDE plus. But the interest, I'm just so glad they've kind of moved away from selling €12 seats for workflow to actually being.
And it's going up. We're going to find out soon.
Oh yeah, we handled the prices.
Dimitri and Virginia are going to tell us everything.
Okay, right.
They're coming on. Martin,
Yeah. No worries.
it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Catch you there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Do you think it's really the end for us?
No, I think it's just the beginning of a greater margins and all that.
I'm more optimistic than that.
What do you mean?
Than us being the next
That-
kind of horses where cars
No.
replaced.
I mean, you can't predict the future to that level, what and how it will unravel, right? But
Indeed. All right, next up we have Oliver. What's going on, Oliver?
Hello.
Ollie, sorry.
Good to
Oliver.
see you. Oliver.
How's it going?
It's all good. Yeah.
How weird is it to be at an event in the UK speaking to UK people about innovation within AEC?
I mean, it's from our perspective, the architecture world. London is the capital of the architecture world.
really,
Yeah.
in terms of beauty of the.
No, not the city. Like, there's the most amount of firms, quite a lot of good universities. For architecture and technology, which is what we do, it is the capital.
Yeah, that's cool to think about. Yeah, welcome.
And I think
Why-
a
why is
close
that?
second is like Copenhagen, right? There's like so many firms around there. You got New York, but then outside that, like a lot of architecture firms are spread in these different locations. So
Oliver, just introduce yourself very quickly. We have a dripping water interruption right here.
Okay, it's
So,
very short.
Just give us a little introduction.
yeah, my name's
You've been on Bricks and Bytes before, by the way. So.
yeah, talking
Appearance
about
number 2.
Facet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm Oliver Thomas. I'm the founder of Architect Network. We're an online platform talking about architecture and technology.
And you have an event in March.
Yeah, we got our own conference, March 2026,
What's that
18th and 19th of March. We're going to be talking about everything, architecture, technology, entrepreneurship, and we'll also be bringing in influencers like yourselves and ourselves.
Are we invited?
We had this chat the other day, and my third baby is due on the day of the conference, so I'll
You will
either be
move-
there.
you will move the
or
baby,
I'll
you'll move
be-
the baby.
Yeah, I'll move the baby again.
I'll be disappointed, first baby or second baby or the conference.
And be like that day now what?
Yeah, the second one, he told me that I had to keep moving the date, so I moved it 3 times. Still wasn't happy.
Yeah, so putting on our first conference. It's going to be big on. It's going to be architecture and technology is the bread and butter, but we'll have a little bit of people talking about Contech, particularly from where I came with Facet and people building houses with technology. Some people talking about the influencer side of things. I think is a huge.
It's great. I think it's a great idea because there's a lot of people like you say, like us, other kind of people. You do your own, create your own content as well, which is brilliant. And there's various other people in there as well. And there's kind of this a more interesting community starting to build. So I think it's a really interesting angle to get the influencer kind of community involved and see where that goes. What's your kind of, so you were at Facet, maybe just tell us a little bit about like things didn't quite pan out the way they had planned to, maybe a kind of like a symptom of the culture within the UK and people's reluctance to want to try such a novel solution, which was great, but there were struggles there. And then like, what are you doing right now?
Yeah, so I left Facet middle of July. Like a lot of MMC companies, it's just not a great time in the UK. And, we're working with developers and things like that, and we just found out no one's really building.
Yeah. It takes them 3 years to get planning permission.
Yeah, it's like
why would they?
No one's building, let alone if it's MMC or traditional. Just like it's really stagnant at the moment. And so, Facet has an existing business, and we were trying to scale it up. So I think for now they're just trying to like hunker down with the existing business and see if there's a better time to do it. I still really believe in the technology, the approach. Like I think is a really viable solution. One thing with startups is timing. You gotta time it.
You can be right, but timing is wrong. Then
yeah, it's notorious. I think that we spoke to quite a few of the people doing this like novel home building methods. I've done a big documentary of QB, and I still think the key issue there, technology is amazing, I spent so much time doing it, but the commercialization piece is always so tricky with those things. But also maybe the US market is better for these kind of things because you just like have a huge site and it's like 300-400 home sites, whereas in the UK to come across something like that is like quite rare.
Barclays and Red Rose.
Yeah, and there's maybe a little bit of a monopoly there as well.
But I think what you have is that the big house builders, they sort of have a monopoly. Like they're so big, they can buy land for cheaper. They build the cheapest product possible. Right? It's like you're competing against McDonald's essentially, right? And like
from a quality perspective as well.
It's literally McDonald's housing, right? So you know, when you come in and you're trying to be sustainable housing and new technology, like you can't compete with the big house builders. So like you have to have that kind of focus on niche.
Yeah.
Like you know, there's companies like Situ, I think are a North Star for like companies that are making a success of it. But yeah, it is a challenge. I think, you know, there could be more potential in Europe, but as you say, the US, they build and timber, you know.
Yeah, and we also have this quotas for affordable housing, right? In London, I think they decreased it from 35% to 20%, maybe this month or last month. So I think every development of more than 9 units needs to have affordable housing in, so you can't do it.
Also, I read something a few days ago that a borough in London, south of London here, Merton, building new build houses. How many houses do you think they sold? I can't remember exactly what month, but for ease, like last month, like within the last 3 months or so, they literally sold one house.
Yeah. So interest rates have gone up. People can't afford to buy houses as well, you know, so the prices are coming down. So there's a perfect storm where people can't really afford to buy houses. The cost of building houses is so high. And you've got all this, you know, you have social housing, BATs that you got to worry about, SIL, Section 106, all of these.
Now you also have these Bs, not trickle vents, but the vents at the bottom. How do you call them?
Bottom of where?
The cross ventilation below.
Oh yeah.
You have like a bees vents
for bees.
Yeah, for bees. Yeah.
Oh, like bzzz,
yeah,
bees.
For those bees. Yeah.
Right, so they can fly in and out.
Yeah. So they can.
There you
live
go.
there,
We've got bees now. That's new to me.
Did you also, just a side note, did you also see like one of the a big development in the UK recently was held up because there was one bat that was like wouldn't leave, and obviously bats protected species. Like this whole like whatever it was, huge, tens of millions probably, it was like held up because of one bat. I mean, what hope have we got,
commercially,
guys?
they can't win that.
What's happening at Architect Network? How many you start like tons of videos now going around architect offices in the UK and
I'm now working on it full time. So
nice,
you know,
congrats.
Luckily that business has been growing. So now I have more time to spend on it. We've been kind of trying to nail our content schedule. I'm always like chasing the tail, as you guys probably know. It's it's just endless editing and stuff. But I think right now we're rebuilding ATN, what we call ATN 2.0. We'll have a new website at the end of the month, opening some new features like jobs boards, recruitment, all that kind of stuff to piece together with the core, which is our courses. Our conference is our crown jewel. It'll be like 5 years since we started ATN, and you know that's going to be a big thing for us. There's a lot of excitement already building around it, so I just got to make sure I don't go broke doing it, which should be okay.
Protect your downside.
That's like a plague of like this content kind of business, right? It's very easy to just keep burning and creating content
Ultimately,
without
you need to
actually
provide
a commercial.
value to people. If you don't provide value, then you should go out of business.
I mean, we would all love to create content for content's sake, but we have to make money.
Not really.
And then I think we're in the middle of this storm of AI and BIM 2.0. I think those are the two big things that are going on right now.
Let's talk about it. You are an architect, right? So what is your how do you see the landscape of architecture and software right now, and maybe blend some Speckle into it?
Yeah. So let's get Speckle in there. You know, like I said, there's two things going on right now. Like AI, this huge hype and injection of AI into architecture firms, and then also
is it on the design side, or on the workflow side, or
it's a bit of both. I break it down into like process and creative. So process is like just getting ChatGPT to write your email, or like go through a brief, and like it basically a lot of the boring side or the admin side. I see a lot of firms like using LLMs to create wikis of all their projects, right? So they can quickly see, let's say a big firm like Big. What airports have we done in the past? Like, how big are they? And
by the way,
can dig out
Big
all
is the
this
name of a firm, not a big firm like Big.
Yeah, I should have used a better name. But like, they're just using LLMs to like get bids out or stuff like that to streamline the boring things. Disrupts, like, I go into a firm and they're designing in ways I've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's still the same design process. It's just parts are sped up. So like, yeah. And everyone's kind of got FOMO of AI, like, or some new tool comes out and like everyone's scrambling for it, and what, can we use it? How are we going to integrate it? All that kind of stuff. So I think there's a big aspect of that.
Yeah, it must be tough to manage.
You are entrepreneurial. Have you not thought about like doing your own authoring tool?
No, because I see everyone right now is building some bloody lovable website, which is like a wrapper for Stable Diffusion or Nano Banana or ChatGPT, and everyone is building some tool. And I do think we're in like a .com equivalent bubble of
AI bubble.
AI apps. Yeah, like
Yeah.
So I think I'm in quite an interesting position where like I'm actually surveying all of these things as like this online business or content creator. So for me, that's more interesting.
Yeah, it's nice to be an observer, actually.
Yeah, at the moment, I've just been, again, in the housing space, trying to innovate there. And so now it's nice to kind of maybe step back and just take a look at what is going on and being that place where people can come and find out.
Where do you see Speckle in this blend of software and workflows and AI maybe?
Yeah, I think Speckle is a huge player in this, because all of these different people are making these new tools, whether it's AI or BIM 2.0. And I think the thing that can tie them all together and is tying them all together is Speckle, right? And I see like a lot of these companies are using Speckle in some way, whether them as a design firm, like to upload projects and create these online platforms and apps. These startups are using it as ways to plug their new thing with an existing tool. I think the ability to the light bulb moment for me with Speckle was, it can be a place where all this AEC data, which is everywhere, is accessible in one place, and then you can build stuff in there that can access it. Like, to me, that's the real light bulb moment for Speckle.
We just spoke to Martin Day, and he was very, what's the word where you're like, doomsaying about like the
doom and gloom about what about AI?
About AI and how like humanity
and it's not going to impact us in
trouble.
the right way. There will be extinction of humankind.
Yeah,
Extinction.
he related humanity to the equivalent of horses and cars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
revolution.
yeah.
So do you agree with this? Maybe in the context of architecture.
Yeah, let's stick to the context of broadly. I think there's going to be disruption. Like, people are going to get displaced, and specifically for architecture, like, I haven't seen it actually disrupt the industry. Everyone's talking like, it's going to. It is disrupting parts, and I think it will be very disruptive. But again, when we go around these offices and when I talk to people, they're still designing it in the same way. They're just super powered at certain parts. So specifically, firms are saving money not using Viz firms anymore. The Viz industry, I think, is being disrupted.
Yeah, the
And
visuals. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
like the CGIs, like the video stuff, right? Some Viz firms, you're paying like 60 grand a minute or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
crazy.
And now I see young architecture firms charging good money, but less than that, and they can kind of undercut that market, right?
It's still
Or
a lot of profit, yeah, because
exactly. Or internally,
expansion.
you can do that internally now, then go out to a Viz firm, and you can control it. So that's where I see a little bit of disruption, is architecture firms are saving money and time. I'll be like replaced by AI. I don't think like AI is just going to design your whole building and all this kind of stuff, but I think we will be displaced. So I think architecture teams will be able to get smaller and more nimble, and so the ones that adopt will thrive, and the ones that don't will may not survive.
Yeah,
But,
I agree. Martin had the same conclusion actually.
Yeah, race to zero, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting time, but yeah, the other like really disruptive part is marketing. Like I've seen a couple young architects. Suddenly, I've never seen. There's not many architecture firms or people that had like over 100K on Instagram or something like that. It would be like the
Large,
famous architects.
Yeah.
Now I find loads of young students or whatever, they'll have over 100K.
Oh yeah.
And it's usually because they're utilizing AI to.
But that's
kind of-
influencers, right? Rather than
yeah. But for some of them, it's been able to, it's enabled them to get their idea, their philosophy out there, find a real client, and start a firm.
Yeah,
So the process to start your firm has also been reduced to like a year,
not
a
25
year
years
or two.
to get.
Exactly, yeah. Because before you would do some competitions in the evening and you produce some renders and then publish it and kind of you'd go and network and try and find some clients. But that process would take a long time just to give you a base. But now you can just generate ideas very quickly.
I think the marketing piece is very important. Like it's super relevant now, like this distribution advantage that companies have. And I think even yesterday I saw a very long form article written by Andreessen Horowitz, an investor based in Silicon Valley, about how they are now offering or giving each of the startups they invest in this like huge kind of distribution package, because the marketing is like the new kind of like leverage that people have. And
I actually think that the
investment
investments don't go that well, and that they are.
I mean, I have lot of questions in relation to the specific article, but to Ollie's point, I think is like, people focusing on that is like becoming a new thing. However, with that, you still can't beat like having a building designed by like a designer architect, right? Someone out there wants a building designed by Zaha Hadid because like they say, I have a building designed by this person. So there is that kind of
for those guys,
to think about.
I think they have authenticity already. They have a strong brand, right? So I don't think for them the whole AI aspect is more a production opportunity. They could produce more with less.
Yes.
But I don't think, people still want the building to be designed by Zaha or Big or Foster's or whoever it is, right? So I think it's also crafting that space for the new, younger companies. And the way you do that is by putting ideas out there. And you can put ideas out there very quickly.
Last one from me is if you were to make a bet, which companies will benefit more from AI, larger practices or smaller practices? What would you choose?
I think smaller, because I see
smaller to 1 to 10, yes?
yeah, because I think they'll be able to grow, and there's already examples of this, like Tim Fu is a good example. Like they're going to be nimble, and AI is going to be integrated from day one. Whereas existing firms, I see them moving a lot slower, and it's like turning a tanker. And so I think they might be too slow to really take advantage of it.
And the last question is, why architects love structural engineers?
Love them. It's a love-hate relationship, because without you guys, the building wouldn't stand up. But
mostly hate.
But we always want to maybe push the boundaries a little bit. So it's a love-hate relationship. But I think when you work with great engineers, you create great stuff. And there are some great engineering companies out there, particularly when like you're tech fluent and they're tech fluent. I think that's when the magic happens, because you speak the same language and you can quickly work together. So
cool. Ollie,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks you guys for having me.
Thank you. Good luck. See you at ATN
Summit, March 18th and 19th. Yeah, bring them along. All right, guys.
Get them in early.
Cheers.
Okay.
I'll leave it to the big man.
Well, I'm amazed. Everything has gone to plan so far. So we haven't.
LinkedIn.
Our LinkedIn broke, but I mean, we got
you
YouTube.
Forgot the password.
So we haven't had to do our lunch tasting stint that we had planned in case things didn't go to plan.
Can bring you one, Fion. Oh, it's no more anymore.
There's no more. We're going to miss our lunch. Damn. Right. Next up, we have got Dimitri and Virginia from Speckle. This is the main event, the headline act. Come on, guys. Let's do this.
Shake hands.
Thanks for having us.
Do you want to wear hats for this one? Look, we
let's
conveniently
do it.
got 4.
Let's
And they
do
still
it.
got the labels, so it means that we can sell them on our website still afterwards.
Nice, okay.
Second hand, wool from SpeckleCon.
Well,
Do I need to have this
people
as
might
well?
want to wash them a bit, but yeah.
No?
We're both huge fans of Bricks and Bytes.
Ah,
so I will wear
exactly.
this everywhere.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
We're not giving them back.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine.
You guys were just grilling us that we ran out of lunch boxes. I have
Yes.
to apologize.
Well, at least we got
Hopefully
hats.
yeah.
Hey, Dimitri, just come a little closer to the
Yeah.
mic here. Yeah, okay. Well, look, I will keep this very open. Like, what's gone, like, SpeckleCon 2025, tell us, like, what was the announcements, like, what's the kind of vibe and what's going on here?
Well, we can start by
You
saying
can
like,
summarize your presentation.
oh wow, we almost cancelled it, or like that was one of the like if you want like some controversy.
Yeah, that's true. We almost canceled SpeckleCon. That was my first decision I had to make as I joined the team. Dim was like, should we do SpeckleCon or not?
Or, and we're still, well, yeah, you
And
said
here we are.
yes.
Here we
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
So
It's been a good success.
I said as
Exactly.
long as Bricks and Bytes are there, we
Okay.
should do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Voila.
Yeah, I think, well, to summarize stuff, like I think maybe the main headline, at least for us internally, was, you know, we've always been a bit of an interoperability tool and kind of boxed in like kind of one value proposition. And I think today we went a bit more all out on like, hey guys, we're actually a data platform, and that's the core of Speckle, and we built all these other things on top of what essentially is a data platform. And I think, you know, the whole conversations, we didn't mention AI much. I hope you appreciate that.
Intelligence.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, careful selection of words.
Yeah, that's all down to Virginia. So
You can blame that on me too.
I'm
This
just
is
a
all you're
sales
doing.
liability. Thank you.
So Dimitri just showed up today, right? It's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
Let's say
sorted.
something.
Yeah, but I think that was the big, like, Speckle spent a long time. We always say it shouldn't be as hard to just get access to the data in AEC as it is, but, you know, that took pretty much, 5 or 6 years as a company to really get that access layer in place, and now we can start doing lots of interesting things with that it and actually put it to work.
I was chatting with someone, 200 head of BIM, 250 architects in the business, and he said that you've done more in the last year than in the last 4.
Yeah, that's partially true and partially false. I think visible-wise, yes, maybe. I think that comes because we had to put a lot of pieces in place. When it comes to, you know, building a bloody platform, that's a lot of work. There's a lot of things to lift. And once that's in a reasonable, good enough place, we started focusing on basically quote-unquote consumer value. Like, so kind of all the cool charts, all the cool widgets, like coming up and surfacing up that data, making it look cool, and making it essentially work for our
Yeah.
customers. And I think that's inherently much more visible, right? So that's why maybe it does look like, you know, a lot has happened in the last year, but truthfully, it's like a bit like the
been
iceberg
longer
metaphor to,
journey.
you know, slide into some cliches. SOC2 took a while, right? Pen testing is a thing. So like all that enterprisey stuff was a big lift. Data regionality, like, you know, we've got, you know, people come to us, yes, we're working on this project in Middle East region, we really need to host the data there. And it's like, oh shit, now we need to re-architect everything and make it work and go planet scale and databases, whatever. So yeah, that's happened up to basically last year, which was more like, spelunking in the undergrounds
That's sexy and
of code.
non-visible.
Yeah, we can get more into that, but something also super exciting which has happened recently is obviously Virginia joining.
Yeah.
As a head of growth.
You were head of growth. You are head of growth, but previously you were leading Autodesk's AEC data strategy. Was that
That's
right?
right, yes. Came
What-
in through an acquisition a couple of years back there.
Oh, okay. So why did you leave Autodesk to come work at Speckle?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So I think the answer is twofold. One, I'll just repeat what Marat said earlier on in the live stream. The system is broken. Yeah, so I'm not actually from AEC originally. I come from outside the industry, but just background in B2B SaaS in general. And I think one thing when you're joining AEC is first you think you understand it, and then you go like 2 months and it's like an onion. You're like, oh, I understood nothing, and now I've been here for 10 years. So I say I know enough to fake that I could be a BIM manager, but
Make it. Yeah.
but yeah, I think I'm one thing I'm always still kind of disappointed at, and I look at this as the industry's biggest opportunity. I always joke I'll never be able to work in any other industry because everything else would just be boring after this. But data is still such a struggle for the industry. I think fundamentally it's still a relatively data immature industry. It needs more value from data, but things like databases and Python and coding and everything that we talk a lot about at SpeckleCon, because let's face it, a lot of our existing customers are very data mature. That's all still new to the industry, and I think there's a big opportunity in things. People are hungry for things to accelerate more quickly, and I definitely believe Speckle is to quote Murat again, Speckle is the answer, and I think Speckle is going to be the one who solves the data challenge.
Yeah, that's going to be the headline for 2026.
Yeah. Speckle's the answer.
I am, in 13 minutes or so, going to ask you about how you take Speckle from where it is now to the grand exit.
Okay.
Save the fool.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about this reasons for the silos in the industry. What are the reasons that we have silos in the industry? Data silos, I mean.
That's I can give a very long answer here. Like that's
yeah. You just heard in 13 minutes there's a question, so you've got.
Give us a summary of your PhD.
Yeah, which is something no PhD student will be able to do properly. So, yeah, I think a lot of it's very funny. So like a lot of it, because there was this like 1970s study in the UK around essentially how we collaborate in the construction industry and how it goes, and can we have better systems and processes. And that whole study concluded we need more money for another study. That's a classic thing, right?
That makes sense.
That's usually the case, yes. But it also said, like, basically construction is very bespoke. It's a very personal thing at the end of the day, like subcontractors, contractors, like when you build stuff, everything is unique, it's bespoke. Processes are therefore bespoke, and we don't have essentially a meta framework to make it bespoke. Now then, in the 80s, like people like Robert H., who was my PhD supervisor and so on, they started pioneering this thing like called BIM, or like what started to became later, late 80s, yes. Like there were others as well, like Sonata, whatever, a bunch of systems. The OG goal of those things were to essentially like help everybody from architects to contractors to engineers like talk to each other more freely, but somehow like along the way this transformed into a massive digital bureaucracy. So like it's either the political landscape, existing vendors having their own commercial interests and so on and so forth. We ended up with a fragmented space that now is digitally fragmented and it's data fragmented. So that's probably a long-winded answer.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I do think the data, we say access, but another word is visibility. I think one thing we see as AEC has digitized is we're creating a lot more information than ever before, right, with BIM, but it's still so inaccessible. Like it's surprised me since I've joined Speckle that a lot of times when we're going in and presenting to customers, we get really excited about like the data pipelines and bringing everything together and helping enable AI, to just say the AI word once on this discussion. But it's like, it's the viewer, right? It's dashboards that get people really excited because this is information that
you can understand it finally.
You can, finally see it, right? Like for really since the advent of BIM, you've got this 10% of designers, right, who can open up Revit, who know how to use it. And one of the things, I'm sorry to keep quoting Suffolk, but one of the things their team has said is they actually see that as you start building these dashboards and there's more visibility, the data quality goes up because people they're like, oh, I'm actually going to get value from this, right? And this is actually going to help me make a better decision.
It's like
and so
you can't measure it, you don't know.
It's like a positive reinforcement cycle. So I think that's where we see a lot of potential is yes, people don't necessarily trust the data today, but the more you can make it visible, the more they're actually going to want to make it better as well, and maybe even share it.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
So what do you do within Speckle to unlock this data potential?
We take it out of the host applications, basically. We kind of provide that normalizing layer of like, yeah, you can send stuff from Revit, we'll decompose it, walls become rows in a database, etc., etc., etc. And then that's basically the secret sauce, which is in an open source repository on GitHub as well, so not that secret.
Yeah, interesting. We finished, sorry? Yeah, okay, cool. I need to find with this
We were
question.
just getting started.
Yes.
I'm just looking at the time, like...
I know how to control myself now, so
when last year we done like a good long session with you and team, and you were just on this kind of like brow of commercialization.
Yeah.
So since then, you even mentioned it today, like back end of last year, that's when you really start to think about and accelerating it. It's what's been going through your mind a lot in this like the last few months. So how has that gone since like back then? Like you're open source, people had the kind of interpretation that they're using the software without a cost. Yeah, but now you're having to say to them, there's a charge associated, and earlier you mentioned like
very little though.
Yeah, maybe that has to increase. So how are you thinking about that?
Well, how has it gone? It's a fun journey, right? And it's like it kind of completely changed the game for the company as well in terms of like, I mean, Virginia knows I'm a sales liability, right? Like, I need to be controlled. But basically, we're a bunch of like enthusiastic hackers that, you give us an interesting problem, we'll solve it for you, and then we might remember to ask you for some cash at the end, right?
You're not going to pay us?
Yeah. So, wow. So like that's changing, and I think that has been like also a bit of a cultural evolution for us at the company, and like making sure we're a bit more street smart when it comes to what we do and how we do it. It's been a long journey, like also educating the industry, like, open source does not mean free. It means that, you have a way out. It means that you can keep us accountable, but you'll still end up paying money maintaining servers and, paying the people who maintain those servers. So there's always a cost associated with software maintenance and so on. That's been a journey to make sure people understand that, because open source originally was like, wow, is this communist software? What is it? So that's been fun. We've also started being a bit more smart around what we develop. So actually we keep some of the stuff. We're building essentially proprietary crust around our open source core, which we're charging for. So this is stuff that, some of the things that changed, at least from a product and engineering kind of end.
Yeah, and I think it does help add sometimes some discipline and guidance on what we build too, right? When you're kind of going, hey, I have to go back to the customer and say, I can build this, and what value does it deliver to you, right? Is it just something that's kind of cool, or that maybe you'll use once a month when you're in a bind and need to get something from Rhino over into Revit, or is this going to be something that delivers daily value to the entire organization? And we were meeting with a prospective customer today, and they think a lot about ROI, right? And that's when you have those conversations when you're spending money on something, right? I think when things are free too, sometimes there's this perceived lack of value, and so I think it's actually allowed us to have much more meaningful conversations with customers too around what's really going to drive impact at their business.
Yeah, mine's going to get super excited now because you mentioned ROI.
Well, a little bit about a little bit about that. So on one of
the customers want to talk about it, okay?
I mean, we as well. To a certain level, we all here for money. To a certain level, I'm saying. Okay, so on one of the slides you mentioned that you are enterprise ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does it mean for you and the customers?
Yeah, well, for the customers, it means that, now we're a mature company. There's a bunch of, let's say, safeguards in place around, security, data management.
What do they value the most, enterprises, in terms of?
I think that's a lot. I completely underestimated that at the beginning. I pushed it off as much as I can because it's a lot of boring work originally. It's not cool product.
It's like SOC 2.
Yeah.
It's like security. I mean, when you're a data platform, right, it's SOC 2 certification. It's knowing we can spin up in one of their regions. I think it's a little bit different sometimes than I guess consumer apps, you have to be safe with your data too, but I mean AEC firms are processing.
It's a different game. Yeah.
How have you seen, like, being European based, a lot of the team here? Is it like, is there challenges with selling into US market there? I noticed a few people we spoke to, Canada, Suffolk from Boston. Is there a challenge associated that you found so far, or maybe the product is so good that it just doesn't matter?
So usage is global from that point of view, and selling into a US market, actually it's like cliche statement, but easier than into European markets, just because I think the US market is maybe more digital mature, but also like maybe other cultural factors, like, you know, there's more risk appetite, there's more, you know, drive for innovation. That in a sense, you know, maybe
Makes
speaks
it
bad for the continent, but it's kind of how it looks like from our end.
I find so no major challenge. Yeah.
A few more minutes to your question, but I'll pick up on the presentation. What I also liked, I actually have a question about this, was markups. You are introducing markups next year at some point.
Oh yeah, Cat 1 specifically.
Yeah, I had to add that in. Sorry. Yes, sharp eyes, yeah.
Would you have these markups, once someone does the markups, would they become objects at some point that you can maneuver, put in the model?
I think right now they're just a 2D overlay, but yes, they can become 3D. Like, I think maybe Motif is doing some of that. Like, without the value of that UX overall, it's a bit unwieldy. The intention with markups, it goes back to kind of accessibility and engaging with a wider audience. Like, now you have your Revit models, you know, they're out of your Revit file. Anybody can look at them in a browser. Like, every architect's third instinct is like, I'm gonna redline this.
So Miro is also quite cool, yeah?
Absolutely.
Tell a little bit about that.
Oh wow, that's like, I think, soul-searching conversation, because we, you know, you yap a lot about data, you talk, oh yes, meaningful, object-based, open source, so there's all this philosophy, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly you can embed a 3D model in Miro and the crowd goes wild. It's like,
I was actually surprised with myself.
It was really cool.
Yeah, and then you're having like these questions like, what did I do? 3 years, PhD, things like this. Oh my God, you know, like
Miro, man.
Miro, yeah, just get 3D models into Miro. So there's a lot of that discovery, let's say, that we're still doing.
Yeah, I think that goes a lot back to the access piece, right? I mean, something that's interesting about, we talk a lot in AEC, I feel like, about, oh, you've got to get the, like, you know, 50-year-old project manager or, you know, principal at a design firm engaged, and that's partially what Miro and what Speckle, I think, is really unlocking. But today you also have the 22-year-old computational designer, or, you know, the guy who's joining a construction firm but knows how to code, or I don't know, is using AI to do it. And so I think it's a really interesting time in terms of, from my perspective, the tools that have, the digital tools that have grown the fastest in AEC are ones that are really easy to pick up, right? Someone was just telling me they like hate Bluebeam because it keeps, in a loving way, because it keeps like showing up like an octopus in their org, and all of a sudden, you know, they're needing to buy twice the amount of licenses at renewal. And Bluebeam, Procore, like, these are the tools that were easy to use and they got adopted. And now I think it's this interesting mix of, you need that, the intuitiveness, and then you also need the, not to use, I hope this isn't like a techie word, but like the composability that Speckle provides from a, hey, you can stitch this into everything in your ecosystem on the back end.
Okay, guys, ultimate question then. Virginia, how are we going to scale Speckle to exit value?
Or IPO.
IPO, well, same.
Yeah, IPO all the way. I'll ultimately defer. So I just want to say another reason I joined Speckle is I think Dim's got a really big vision for the company, and there's definitely a belief that in a system that's broken, there's a big opportunity to remain independent and grow, and really grow into a generational type AEC company. And I think it all starts, like, not to sound too sappy here, but something that really stood out from a conversation we had this morning was just trust. The trust we build with our customers. The person said, hey, we are at a point where we kind of like have this super bad relationship with all of our vendors. And I think you hear that a lot right now, and we also hear it from our customers. There's just a lot of tool fatigue, and you hear all the time, right? AEC is a trust-based industry, and from an open source perspective, I think that's where we also have a really unique offering, is that we want to build, I think, an equitable business. We see a lot of room for both Speckle and our customers to win, and I think that's going to be really key for us, is that trust with customers. Dan, what would you add?
I'm going into VC pitch mode as well. Like there's
I want to hear it.
So there's that part of the story as well, and it's also like AEC. You know, there's such a huge amount of things that get built out there. Like we were just talking to someone today that they're building islands. You know, ports. We have people that build boats that use Speckle.
Yeah.
So there's all that. You know, essentially like the space of stuff that gets built in real life is really large. All of it is designed in 3D. We might not yet be relevant for things like automotive design or stuff, but like, you know, hey, there's a boat builder building like super cool yachts, which we will buy once we IPO. Right. Designing, you know, so
SpeckleCon 2030.
yeah, exactly.
Meet us on the yacht.
So
Yeah.
Also, the opportunity is really big, right? And the space is really like, and there's a need for it as well. The problems are very similar at the end of the day. So, yeah.
Yeah, off we go.
Yes.
So maybe the last one from me, I guess. We'll go.
He always has one more.
If 44 is not sustainable, what is?
If 44.
Yeah. Subscription.
Right. Yeah, $44. Yes, I know.
I didn't know where that came from.
From our pricing page, Virginia.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a fun one because actually it's not sustainable, mostly because, you know, you can be paying us $44 a month and like literally shove every single project you've ever done in the history of your company inside Speckle. So
Lots of value.
you get out a lot of value and our cloud costs go crazy. So ultimately that's why we're now figuring out like kind of the best way to have that. And as Virginia was saying earlier, like we cannot piss people off, because if we piss them off, you know, there's the open source Speckle out there. They're just gonna ride into the sunset without that. So we're having this like kind of honest, meaningful conversations with people and seeing out like, hey, okay, what is fair? What is the ROI that we're producing? How much of that can we take back and reinvest in this?
And how do we make sure you actually realize that ROI? I think that's in my past life, you know, pre-Speckle, pre-Autodesk. I think we had this at Unify. We had this term of journeying with a customer. There's so much in AEC. You sell the deal and they sign the line, and that's actually when the real work begins, right? Is everyone is way too busy to sit there and adopt a new tool, and we hear this from our partners at customers every day. They're like, I love this. I just, you know, I got to make sure that when I put this in front of my team, it's so easy that it's, you know, it's actually faster than the workflow that they know and love. And so I think that's something, as we're thinking about ROI and pricing, it's software, and our customers also need services, and they need our know-how, right? We've done this before and we've seen it done, and so you guys might not have the whole roadmap, and we can help you there.
Cool. Mine, I think you should do something really cool live on there. Last thing, selfie with everyone.
Okay.
Selfie with the hats. Yes.
Clean the.
It's clean. It's a front camera.
Let's do
Oh
it.
yeah, this one.
Yeah.
I always do this.
Do we need to
They're from
huddle?
there. Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone in.
And yes, with that.
I'll try to do the.
Yeah, let's.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Cool kid.
Okay.
Cool shit.
Okay, we got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for
you.
having us.
Yeah,
We enjoyed it.
Our pleasure.
Thanks.
All right. See you soon. Yeah.
See ya.
Martin,
come.
I owe you a demo.
You owe me a demo. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Yeah. All right, Martin. What was your key takeaways?
Key takeaways. Life is changing. AEC is changing. All from Dimitri and Virginia.
Well, I mean, generally from the conversations.
I think everyone kind of reassured me that things are moving, and we should also embrace and be on the forefront of these changes.
Yeah.
In the design life, or in general, because things are moving.
Cool. For me, is really about the importance of data. I think we're still we're still there, right? We still need to do it. I think people are jumping very far ahead, focusing on AI, but as an industry, the data layer
How
is the
you
most important.
capture it? Yeah, I guess no one is doing this. Like in a design space, smaller, medium-sized businesses,
Yeah.
no one's doing that properly.
What did Murat say? Doomed to fail.
Doomed to fail.
That was his saying. It's fundamentally broken.
Maybe.
Okay, I was going to try and end it with that, but anyway,
I
thanks for
already
tuning in,
tried.
guys. This is Bricks and Bytes live from SpeckleCon 2025. We will be doing something similar again in around 2 weeks in Boston with Suffolk. So please tune in there and hope you enjoyed it. Peace.
Thank you.